Hello, good morning to you all. How are you doing today? It seems like it's going to be another warm, bright day here in the northwest in the UK. I see a bit of blue sky, and I don't know, it's very changeable. But the temperature has dropped a little bit, which is good because it's been stifling. Today, I'm going to be making some lovely gemstone tassel earrings with you. So, I'm using chain to create those tassels. We're going to create a beautiful diamond type shape using those gemstone beads and some weaving wire as well. So these are called the Davina gemstone earrings. I'm not too sure actually. I should have wrote down what gauge I'm using in it's 0.3 millimeters in wire of that kind. American wire gauge is I want to say 20, 26, 24. I will check that out for you. So I'm going to take you over to the website now and I'll show you how you can make them, and they look like this. Very pretty, very summery, very ready for festival, I think. And I am going to a festival at the weekend. I'm going to go and see Alanis on Friday with my sister, and I'm very excited. So I might don myself a pair of these. They're nice, quick and easy to make. Good morning, Heather. How are you doing? Drop me a comment. Have you got anything nice planned for the week and the weekend ahead? What have you been making, of course, and which of these do you like the most? So I'm going to take you over to totallybeads.co.uk, where I will show you the kits today for the Davina gemstone bracelet earrings, and I'll remember what I'm doing. Head into the video tutorial category and you will see them here just at the top. So, beautiful gemstones for you today. We have some amethyst on the gold, which means I'm using gold wire, gold earring hooks, and gold chain. I'm going to be doing the lapis as well, lapis lazuli. They're also on the gold. We've got some beautiful purple fluorite, but there is a mix of colours in there, but it is predominantly purple, and they are on the silver. I've got some gorgeous rose quartz on the silver, and I have some tiger's eye on the gold and white onyx, which is beautiful, on the silver as well. Now, of course, they do vary in price because the gemstones will vary in price, but we have a buy two, get 15% off, and each of your kits today are going to make 3 pairs of earrings. So if you were to get the white onyx, you can make 3 pairs up for just £7.99. Same with the tiger's eye. We have the rose quartz, just £6.99 to make 3 pairs. We have the fluorite, which is £9.99, which makes 3 pairs. Your lapis is £10.99, and the amethyst is £12.99. So they make 3 pairs of earrings in your kit. So you're going to get all the chain, all the wire, all the gorgeous gemstone beads, and the earring hooks to make 3 pairs up in each one. So I will show you them very, very quickly. Don't forget we've got that offer on as well. You can get 2 kits, so make 6 pairs of earrings, and you can get 15% off. And you could, if you wanted, mix and match. So for example, if you wanted to get the white onyx in silver, you could get also maybe, I don't know, the tiger's eye or this amethyst or whatever you wanted in the gold version, and you could swap that over if you wanted to have those beads and gemstones on a different colour. So these are how they look. They are very pretty. These are photographed of them being flat. So of course that chain's not dangling as it will do when you're wearing them. Gravity will make sure all those links just lay lovely and you've got that chain tassel. So I'm using gemstone round beads, the copper wire, some chain and some earring hooks. These are what I'm using. So I've got the copper wire in a 0.3. I'm just going to see if I can just double check, because my mind's gone blank and I can't quite remember what gauge that is. It is About a 29 gauge wire. There you go. I was completely off, wasn't I? I know certain ones, and then others I just have a complete mind blank. So I think a 0.3 millimeter wire is about a 29 gauge, maybe 28, 29. Yeah, I'd say it's more 28. There you go. So that's the fine weaving wire that I'm using today. So that's going to be in the gold. You're going to get your gold oval chain. So that's a 3 by 2.5 millimeter chain. And you can adjust the length of these by just changing how many links you want to use, the measurement of the chain that you're using. I'm going to cut my chain. For one earring, I'm going to use 7 pieces of chain. I'm going to use about 3 centimeters, which is about an inch. I can convert that one. And so that works out as 13 links. So if you're getting this kit, you can make it precisely exactly the same as I'm doing here. And all the gemstones I'm using today are 4 millimeters in size. So dainty and sweet. So that's the amethyst on the gold. This is the beautiful dyed lapis. So you got that gorgeous regal blue colour. That's on the gold as well. So I'm still using the 4 millimeter gemstones, the same chain and earring hooks. I apologise if you can hear my tummy rumbling. I just had a sip of water, and because I haven't eaten today, it's making loads of noise. I hope you can't hear it. This is your purple fluorite. I'm going to scroll down so you can see. You're going to get a mix of colours in those gemstones. They are predominantly purple, but you've got some lighter colours, some whites as well. It's got that lovely kind of translucent kind of effect to it. The chain on the silver is the oval curved chain, 3.2 times by 2.3 millimeters. So again, I'm still using the same length of chain for each of my chain tassels, but you can adjust that accordingly. And again, I've got that 28 gauge or 0.3 millimeter silver wire for those. I'll just whiz through them because all the measurements are the same. You just get to see how they look. This is your beautiful rose quartz. We've got lots of symbolism with these gemstones as well. So a lot of people think that this represents love, whether it be self-love, platonic, friendships, all of those, love and care in the rose quartz. You've got your tiger's eye, which I'm absolutely loving, and I'm going to demonstrate for you today, but they all work exactly the same. Just love that kind of cat's eye, kind of chatoyancy on the tiger's eye. It's absolutely beautiful, and I think they're very summery. Might make myself a little pair of them for the weekend. And then we've got the white onyx. I tend not to use white gemstones so much, but I absolutely love these. I think they look gorgeous. And of course, if you wanted to multi-buy and get a set in the gold, then these would look gorgeous in the gold as well as the silver, I think. I think most of them would look lovely either way, so I just did them as this. So don't forget, you can buy 2, get 15% off, and each of the kits today will make you 3 pairs of earrings. So a really good price, I think, for all those gorgeous gemstones and components. If you want to change your currency, of course, you can just click here at the top of the page. We do ship worldwide. Have a little look. Let me know in the comments, what do you like the look of the most? And we'll start making. It's not a very long make, and it's quite simple. So looking forward to this one today. Let me say a quick good morning to you all. Hello to Carol. Hello to Izzy. How are you doing? Oh, she's off to the caravan. And Heather says she's off for the week. She's loving the lapis. Good morning to Rebecca. Hello to you. Good morning to Rachel, who's also loving the amethyst. Good morning to Just Me. Heather saying, make sure you take kits with you to the caravan while you're making. Good morning to Angela. How are you doing? She says it's very cold or cool here in Forfar rather. I don't know what's up with my speech today. Yeah, it's a bit windy and a lot more overcast, but it's bright, so we'll see. Rebecca says those are very pretty earrings, especially the purple fluorite and the rose quartz and the tiger's eye as well. So Rebecca likes them all. You could mix them if you wanted to mix them. They might look lovely because we're creating those rows, so you could create different colours through your rows if you want, rows of your gemstones, if you wanted to multi-buy on these kits. Good morning to Anne. Heather says so many choices. Right, let's get down, let's get making. So you can see here the beauties that I've got. This is the lapis. Look how gorgeous it is. So again, my little tip for spotting which is lapis and which is sodalite. You can see here the lapis has got these gorgeous little pyrite inclusions, so it's giving those little gold speckles, or fool's gold as pyrite's referred to. And there's those lovely delicate chain tassels. So that is the lapis, gorgeous and blue. Put them over there. We have the tiger's eye. You can see all those kind of rich gold bands, those warm browns, beautiful tones. And these are really lightweight as well. We are using gemstones, but they're only 4mm in size, so they're nice and light to wear. Of course, if you wanted to make them without the chain tassel, you absolutely could, and it would look something like this if you wanted to make a little matching pendant. So that is an option. We have the gorgeous amethyst, which everybody's loving. Beautiful purple colour. Put them on the gold as well. We've got the rose quartz, which if you wanted to, you could multi-buy, and you could if you wanted to do a little mix, and you could change the wire and your chain tassels. I quite like the feeling of the chain there just dangling. And then we have the purple fluorite. So you can see here, there is a little bit of a mix. We've got a tiny bit, if you can see there, of kind of like a greenish blue one. And then you've got predominant purples, kind of lilacs, violets, some whites in there. Look at this one. This is my favourite bead of the day. Can you see how it's almost like split in half, the way that colour tone works? One side's very, very purple and one side is clear. Of course, when you're using something like this, you're not going to get a perfect match because every single gemstone is different. So for example, if we were going to use the onyx, both of my earrings are going to look exactly the same because we'll be using the same technique, same amount of beads, and the beads, the gemstones here, will all look kind of like a uniform white. When you choose something like the fluorite, you can really see the difference in each gemstone there, the difference in colours. So you can pick them out, you can cherry pick them, you get enough to make 3 pairs of earrings. So if you wanted to on your strand, you could start picking out what colours you want to put and where you want to put them, where, what tones. Okay, so to start, I'm going to cut my chain first. So what I want to do is I want to make 7 links for a pair of, for one earring, so there'll be 14 little tassels in total, and I want to cut them, so I'm going to be having 13 links of chain. Now that works out at about 3 centimeters. Just pop it against my ruler. It's about 3 centimeters or 1 inch in length, maybe just over 1 inch. You can change this however you want, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that all 7 pieces or all 14 pieces for your pair of earrings are the same in length. So there's different ways you can do this. You can sit and you can count your chain tassel. You can cut your links, but this chain does open, it's not sold closed, so you can just open them like a jump ring. So what I would do usually to start is I would count my 13 links, unless you want to measure it against your ruler to begin with. So I tend to hold one end of the chain, the last link. These are not going to be cut for you. This is part of the making process. And I'm just going to find that last link, and you'll see there's a little opening there. So I will just get my pliers. You can cut if you want to cut the 14th link, and you can just cut it open. But I'm just going to give it a little twist. Just double check my counting. I've miscounted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. And then I can close that up because I can reuse it. You do want to make sure that you're closing your links properly if you are reusing them though, so they don't fall off the fine wire. So I've got my chain. What I could do is I could count each link each time, or I could measure against my ruler. But what I tend to do is I will get, just for speed, take a scrap piece of wire or a little pin or something, and I'll place one of my already cut pieces and place the last link of my chain, give that a little bend, so it falls in the middle. So rather than counting each time, I can just lay them against each other. So I'm going to make sure I've got the last link of the chain. I'm going to pop it against the last one. I usually use wire and then I will just turn the ends up so it doesn't fall off. And then I lay it against my finger so I can see that link there will be the last one. And then again, just open it up. And you can either completely remove that link or you can close it again. So now if I hold these up, it's hard to do because I need gravity to let it fall. But rather than counting each link at a time, if I can show you now, they are completely perfect and equal in length. Heather says, I love being able to open the chain. I do too. I find it just so much easier to use than having to cut. And, you know, if you wanted to add, I don't know, little gemstones on the end of these with ball pins, then you can just, although you could do like a wrap loop with it, you can just open up the chain and then you can adjust it onto whatever you're using if you need to. So I've cut my 7 lengths of chain, all equal in size, and now I'm gonna just start making. It's really quick and nice make. So I'm gonna take my 0.3 28 gauge wire, so it's nice and fine, and this is in the gold. I'm just going to straighten it out, so I'm just running it through my fingers really. You can use your nylon coated pliers or whatever you want, but just running it through your fingers just to make sure that one, we warm it up, but also that there's no kinks in it. And I'm going to cut for one earring about 30 centimeters, which works out as 12 inches. So I'm going to cut my wire. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one piece of chain onto the center of the wire. So this is why we need, if we are reusing those links, we need to make sure that they're fully closed, because this is very fine wire and it can easily come off. So make sure that that link is fully closed on your chain. And what I tend to do is just bring those two ends of the wire up together and give it kind of like a little bend in the middle. All that's going to do is just make sure that my wire is central, because as we start to place the beads on, what we do find sometimes is that the wires can move and you can end up with one longer end than the other. So it's nice to try and keep them fairly even. So just pop in that little, doesn't have to be a sharp bend, but just a little curve in the wire. This wire is beautiful to use, really nice and soft and malleable. Joanne says, I like using a pin or a bit of wire. I find it so much easier and quicker. I mean, I did count links to make sure they were absolutely precise and perfect. But then as I started measuring it on the pin or the scrap wire against each other, they were working out it exact, and it was so much quicker, I agree. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our beads. Now for one earring, I'm going to need 16 gemstone beads. So what's that, 32 for a pair, and you're getting enough to make 3 pairs of earrings, which is lovely. So I'm just going to pour out my gemstones. I'm not going to worry too much about, you know, which colours and tones I'm using. They're all absolutely gorgeous. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this little diamond pattern. So the first row is going to have 1, then 2, then 3, then we're going to work up to 4, back to 3 and 2, and then 1. So I'm going to need a couple more there. Okay, so I'm just going to put 1 gemstone on. Just keep those little ends nice and straight, making sure we're not getting any kinks or bends. And we're just going to pick up our first 4mm gemstone and we're going to slide that on to one end of the wire. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the other tail end and we're going to pass that back through the gemstone bead. So we're bringing the wires through the same bead, same drill hole, just in the opposite direction. And just to start off, I'm going to very slowly just give one side a little pull and the other side a little pull, and then one side a little pull, just gently. You know, our wire's quite fine, but what we're doing is we're trying to get it so it's still fairly central above that chain. It's easier, I find, to make this with gravity, so I'm holding it up and then that chain will fall. If I'm lying it flat, it does sometimes kind of move around and get in the way. But just very gently, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull and draw those wire ends away from each other like so. And that is going to position my bead just above the chain. So the chain is going to, if I just lie it down on the mat so you can see, the chain is going to sit in the centre on that bead. Now I've added my first bead, I'm going to add my chain. So I'm going to add one piece of chain, making sure it's going through the last link. And I'm going to add that onto one side. And then I'm going to add another length of chain onto the other side. So my chain is all the same length, but because we're going to end up gradually making this diamond shape, they're going to sit slightly staggered. So don't worry if it moves around a little bit at the minute. It's going to start being like that. Now this time we're going to add on 2 gemstones. So I'm going to take one wire end, straighten out that little tip if need be, and I'm going to pop 2 gemstones onto one wire. Couldn't be any more straightforward, this make, and I think it makes a really nice look. And then I'm taking the other tail end, so doesn't matter which side you put it on, but I tend to find I put them on the left side and bring the right tail end through. Again, I'm going to start drawing those away from each other, so it's starting to form a loop. You can hold it upwards so the chain doesn't kind of get in the way. So we're getting this loop, and I'm pulling all the way down fairly evenly on both sides, and that should position that bead at the bottom dead center into the middle of those 2 top beads. Now I've added on my beads, I'm going to add on more chain. So one piece onto one side, just through that last loop. Ooh, doesn't matter which link as long as the links are closed, which end rather. So chain tassel onto one side and chain tassel onto the other side. So apart from that first piece of chain, these are always going to go on in pairs. Every time I add the chain, I'm then going to add the next row of beads. So this time I'm going to add 3 beads on. So I'm going to add them onto the left, and what I really love about these gemstone beads is although they are small, they are mighty. They have a really good sized drill hole running through them, which means although I'm using a fine 28 gauge or 0.3 wire, I can pass that back through with no problem. Sometimes when you get small gemstones, the drill hole in them is so minuscule, you'd only be able to pass that wire through once. And sometimes you can't even get them on like featherweight head pins. So this is really lovely. So 3 beads, and then just drawing them right down again. Again, don't worry if it starts to kind of flip, but I do find holding it up is much helpful, because then that chain's just going to fall where it needs to. If I'm doing it flat, which I could do with doing to show you, you can see sometimes the chain can move in the way. So now I'm positioning those 3, and again I want to make sure when I'm doing it, I'm just making it central. I don't need to pull too tight, I just want the beads to sit in the middle. Hi Stacey, how are you doing? She says, I'm early in beautiful Florida. Heather says, I've started measuring chain using the wire. If there's any questions, do drop me a comment and I will do my best to answer you. So now I've done my 3 gemstones. I'm going to take my last 2 pieces of chain. You could add more to it if you wanted to, but I think this looks quite nice. So 1 on one side and 1 on the other side. And let them drop down so they sit next to the beads. And now I'm going to put the most I'm going to put on in terms of rows of gemstones. That's going to be 4. So I've now added my 4 gemstones onto one side, and then I'm bringing the tail end of the wire back through all of those gemstones. So sometimes you might just want to straighten it out with your fingers, just so you can pass that all the way back through. So the wire is traveling back through the beads in the opposite direction. Little pull on either side just to get that circle to kind of narrow, and then making sure I'm pulling evenly so my loops seem to be fairly even on each side. So now I have 4 gemstones, which is going to be the center. I'm going to travel my way back up, and I do that by reducing the size, the amount of the gemstones again. So we're decreasing, so now we're doing 3. Don't need any more chain on it now. You can add if you want to, but as I say, I think when you've created that shape, just having them on the bottom is lovely. So 3 gemstones, passing back through. It's a very, very quick make. I'll just hold it down so you can see. Little pulls, doing it gradually on each side so it's even. Because if I just pull one side, then they're going to sit off center, and I want them to sit in the middle. So little pull on either side. Tend to straighten out the wire as well when I go. It can curve, but that's okay. We've got wire, it's malleable. You can reshape it as you need to. And now we're going to go for 2 gemstones. Onto one side. Bringing the tail end back, and this is why you want to make sure that you start off fairly central. I want the same amount of wire on each side, so I haven't got one long tail end and one small one. Bringing them back, so now they sit at the top, and then my last row is just 1 bead onto one side and bringing that tail end back through. Drawing those tail ends away from each other. And now I've completed my kind of diamond shape. So because we've got the wire, you can flatten it with your fingers. If it's got a bit of a curve and a bend in it, you can just position it how you want. So that just a little press between the fingers will just flatten them all and make them look lovely. And of course the chain is all dangling where it needs to be. You can, if you don't feel that's fully centre, just give it a little pinch and reposition. It's hard to show you because of course it's lying flat. The chain will dangle like this. Heather says, I love these type of kits that are simple to put together. They're really fun to do, and you've got a beautiful effect with, there's no weaving or wrapping or anything. All we're going to do now is we're going to make our little veil. So I'm going to bring these 2 wire ends up towards the top of the bead, and I'm going to give them a little pinch. So they're going to pinch across the top. And what I like to do is I'm going to twist these wires into one. So I'm going to cross them over, just put a little cross section, and I'm going to pinch with my finger and my thumb. And I'm going to start to twist this. What I want to do as I twist it, you'll watch, I'm going to move my finger up the wire so that twist travels. If I put lots and lots and lots and lots of twists in just there, we could get the wire to snap, which we don't want to do. So I'm not going to cross them over too much, just I pinch them at the top. My finger and thumb is going to go over, and I'm going to twist it once, and then I'm going to slowly start to move my fingers up away from the beads, still pinching that wire in between, and you can see that twist is now moving up gradually up around the wire. So the twist isn't all happening here, it's moving along as we go. So I'm just pinching, and I'd say I probably twist this about 20 times maybe. You just want a little length. I like to use maybe an inch or so. I can always cut off any I don't need. So I've got about 2 inches there. I think I'm going to keep. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut with my flush cutters. So I've now got no little tail ends on. And I'm going to take my round nose pliers or my bail step making pliers. If you use your bail step making pliers, depending on which loop you choose, you're going to have exactly the same size loop each time. If you've got your round nose pliers, just be mindful where you're going to start to turn your loop, so you've got matching on both earrings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position my pliers at the top where those wires cross, and I'm going to bend it over to one side so it's sitting horizontally. I'm going to make a wrapped loop here. So what I want is a tiny bit of space between the bead and the bend. So I'm going to position my pliers so that I can bring that wire over the top. And then I'm going to reposition my pliers. So I'm going to be making a wrap with that small loop. I'm a bit close, so it's struggling to focus. But that small loop is going to be what I make the size of my wrap loop with. So I'm turning my pliers, so now I've got the jaws above and below. And then with that one twisted wire, so it's 2 twisted wires, but as one, I'm going to bring that right round, slightly reposition my hand again. So now I've got the pliers on either side, and that's just going to give me a little bit of space to bring the wire all the way round. Now what I do is I tend to swap into my less dominant hand. So you can see now I've got that little wrap there. I want this tail end to kind of slightly go up, and then as I wrap it round, it'll be nice and close to the neck. So I'm going to keep it in my pliers here. It's hard to do so you can see, but it's there in my pliers. I've got a little bit of grip and purchase to keep that rounded shape. And then with a pair of chain nose pliers, or I'm using my tweezer nose pliers here, I'm going to take this tail end. I hope you can see it okay. And I'm just going to hold right at the end, and I'm going to wrap that round. So I'm bringing it around the back and then around the front. So that's one wrap. Around the back and around the front is 2 wraps. Around the back and around the front again is 3 wraps. Now you can wrap however many you want. I think it looks nice if you do it the same on each side, and we just want to make sure that we filled that space between the loop and the bead. I think what I'm going to do is just one more. When I come to do my next earrings, my matching pair, I'd like to have that the same. So I've kind of filled that space, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my cutters and I'm going to trim off that excess twisted wire, and then I'm going to make sure that I fully flatten down those little ends. So I want to tuck the ends of both of those twisted wires gently in to make sure there's no sharp edges, nothing sticking out. All I need to do now is attach my earring hook. What I'm going to do is just pop my round nose in and give it a little tilt. I want to make sure that that is sitting very centrally at the top. And then I'm going to take my ear wire out, and then I'm going to give it a little flick open at the bottom, just to open up, because of course this is a wrap loop now, so it's fully secure. I'm going to slide onto my earring hook and then close it over again, just like a little jump ring, and my earring is complete. And you're just going to repeat that pattern, and then you're going to have a matching pair. And whatever you do, providing your chain is cut to the same length, you're using the same amount of beads, it's going to be symmetrical all the time. Heather says, I made the Catherine earrings and the Subi necklace. They look really good together. Lily, hello. She says, dear, the copper is changing colour. Is there a way to prevent it? The copper that we're using here, this is copper wire, but it's colour coated. So sometimes it has like a colour remain on it, which means it's kind of like tarnish resistant. If you are scratching and scraping, you can get the colour to come off it. I haven't found that with this Totally Beads wire. Personally, when I'm using the gold or the silver, the coating doesn't come off. Sometimes if you are using artistic wire and it's coloured, then that can flake off. In terms of your copper, if it's bare copper, then what that does, Lily, is it will patina. So it reacts with kind of like moisture and oxygen and things in the air, and it will patina over time. Now, all metals tarnish. I think I'd say even 14 karat gold will probably tarnish. Platinum might not as much. Copper will always tarnish. Now, some people put it in something called lose, which is a liver of sulfur, and that really darkens it. That accelerates that patina. When you're doing fine weaving, personally, I think it's beautiful because then when you polish it back, you see all the detail in the wire. If you don't want it to tarnish and you want it to keep it that bright, shiny colour, when I'm making my jewellery to sell, I always pop a little polishing cloth in there for the customer and let them know that, it will tarnish, and it will start to kind of darken, which some people like. Some people prefer it nice and shiny. Even with silver, I like it shiny. Lots of people patina it. So what you can do is you can get different kind of it's kind of like a Renaissance wax, like a coating. Some people also coat it in kind of like a kind of clear varnish. But it depends where you're wearing your jewelry, because everybody's body will react differently to different metals. It can be your sweat, your lotion, any medications you're on, things like that, Lily. Hormones, everyone will react different. So I tend to find copper never rubs off on my chest, but sometimes if I'm using a bare copper wire for a ring, then that can turn my finger green. And sometimes if putting it in through the skin by your ears, for example, for earring hooks, that can react as well. And so there are different solutions that you can do to prevent it changing colour, Lily, but it's just the joy of that metal. Some people love it, some people don't. If you're making your jewellery to sell, as long as your customers are aware about the metals that you're using, then they can make that choice. But you can't stop nature. Kat says, gorgeous earrings. Rachel says, beautiful. Joanne says, the fiddliest bit is measuring the chain. It really is. Everything else is so simple. She says, they're lovely earrings. I didn't manage to catch all the gemstones in the kit. It's a little late joining. Well, I will go back and I will show you those. Heather says, don't wear jewellery in the swimming pool. No, because you've got chlorines and things, haven't you, and chemicals in the water, which can affect it. I would say don't get any jewellery wet. You see a few adverts at the moment, which is like, oh, you can shower in this, you can go in the pool in this, it's, whatever. And I think, you can't. You can't. You can if you want to, but it is going to, affect your wears eventually. So I'm going to put these ones in that I've made so you can see how they look. Of course, if you want to change the length of them, you can, of course, just change the length of your tassels. If you want to make them longer, you can do. Smaller, you can do. Don't forget, all our ear wires are nickel free. So if you're worried about that, then that's a benefit. I'll pull my hair back so you can see. So these are the tiger's eye, and I just love them. Love them. We have the lapis, which are here. And then I will show you them on the website so you can see the kits. The kits will vary in price. They're all making 3 pairs of earrings. So if you get the lapis, you can make 3 pairs of the lapis ones. We've also got a little offer. I think it was buy 2 kits, so make 6 pairs of earrings. And was it 15% off? There you go. They're the lapis. Think they're going to go with my dress today. Lovely. Right, let me take you back over to the website. We are, of course, totallybeads.co.uk, and you can get your kits over on the website. If I can share them for you. Where is it? Where's it gone? There it is. So here we are on totallybeads.co.uk. Let me close this one off and then you can see a little better. So these are the kits today. They do vary in price because we have got gorgeous genuine gemstones. We've got the amethyst, which you're making 3 pairs with, and they're on the gold. We've got the lapis, which is dyed, so it's gonna bring out the colour even more so. That's another thing. If you do have dyed gemstones, I've got no problem with dyed gemstones, providing people are aware that they're dyed. Dyed gemstones, often gemstones are treated. They might be heat treated, they might be dyed. It just emphasises the colour, makes them look even more beautiful and blue. We are open and transparent about what we've got in stock, so we have made sure that you're aware they are dyed lapis. If you are going in the swimming pool and you're wearing your earrings, because let's face it, these would look gorgeous on holiday, just bear in mind chlorine, things like that will affect. If you have any acetone, if you ever want to check if a gemstone's dyed, you can rub a little bit of acetone, like a nail varnish remover, on it, and the colour will kind of bleed off that. But these are absolutely gorgeous, and they're just, I think, my favourite. I'm loving these in the tiger's eye and the onyx. We've got the purple fluorite, we've got the rose quartz on the silver, we've got the tiger's eye, which I've just demoed for you, in the gold, and we've got the white onyx on the silver as well. You can buy 2 kits for 15% off if you want to mix and match. You might want to mix your gemstones. You might want to mix the chain. Oh, I didn't think about that. You could have mixed metal tassels, which I think would be really, really lovely. So I hope you've enjoyed the make today. It's been a nice quick one, but it's definitely been an enjoyable one for me. Loving them. I'm going to be back with you on Monday, and I'm going to be making with more gemstones, which couldn't get any better, could you? I plan them, so it's up to me what I want to plan. But yeah, so I've got some gorgeous gemstone chips, some gorgeous gemstone nuggets. We've got lovely kind of connectors. It's going to be making jewellery kind of components on pins and then assembling those together. They're very straightforward make, and they're absolutely gorgeous. Little heads up, I've got pre-night and it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Joanne says, on my fingers I can wear any metal, but in my ears I can only wear gold. See, everyone's different. Heather says, no, I work in a pool. The number of people who come in and say there's jewellery tarnished after swimming. It's the chemicals and things, isn't it? I suppose, to keep the water clean. Salt, sand, humidity, it can all affect it. Just look after your jewellery, so store it properly. You can keep a little polishing cloth, or you can get like little anti-tarnish pads, so that I'll show you one because I've got one here. They do come in different colours, but mine tend to be just this little black thing here. You can pop that in your jewellery bag, and I don't really know how it works, but it does. You can get, like, when you buy a new handbag and it's got those kind of like little salts and in it, that can just draw up any moisture as well. Heather says, thank you as always. You're most welcome. Just Me says, thank you, Natalie. Lovely earrings. Kat says, thanks, Natalie. Bye to you all. Have a lovely weekend. I will. Kathleen says, absolutely beautiful and hang so beautifully. They do. This is my issue. I'll often try and photograph them, and I'll photograph them flat. And certain all jewellery deserves and needs to be worn, but you're going to get the full effect with gravity when they swing, rather than when they're just laying flat on the table. But this chain is so fine and soft, they're kind of going to be like fidget earrings for me, because I know I'm just going to sit there playing with them. Thank you so much for being with me today. I think I have Heather saying, do not eat the sachet. No, never eat those. If it's not salt, it's not proper salt, don't eat the sachet in your handbag. Tell you what, Heather, should we just say don't eat anything other than food that's meant to be consumed if you've not got an allergy to it? Thank you so much for being with me today. I look forward to being with you next week. Hopefully you can join me then. Till then, have a lovely weekend. Keep making, keep smiling, and I'll see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.